Thank you, sir. Thank you, IDSA, Colonel Khan, Jan Prasad, for the opportunity. It's a privilege to be here. Also a privilege to be in the company of Praveen Swami. I call him the Praveen Swami. uh, Let me begin by giving you a standard definition of radicalization. Now, it refers to a process of ideological relocation through which an individual or a group adopts increasingly extreme political, social, or religious ideals and aspirations, rejects status quo, and contemporary ideas and expressions. Now, while this might be quite simple to understand, what causes radicalization, what the topic of my presentation, is a complex question to answer. Now, like Animesh, I'll also focus mostly on the Islamic State because that's the flavor of the day. But at the same time, when I discuss the patterns of radicalization that's contributing to the strengths of Islamic State, in particular reference to India, I'll also refer to the kind of groups that have prepared an intellectual radicalization base for the Islamic State to flourish in India. Now, there are studies worldwide which point out factors like poverty, lack of education, personality disorder, troubled childhood, alienation, that shape the mind of a person or make him willing to be radicalized or vulnerable to radicalization. Now, while all these are true in their specific context, I argue that in the Indian context, essentially three factors or conditions are critical as far as radicalization is concerned. First, the sectarian or religious divisions. Secondly, normalized violence, which means that you have an exposure to a prolonged existence of extremist groups who are indulging in prolonged violence. And third, existing social, religious, and extremist networks. But when we point out these three instrumentalities, the only instrumentality that uses all these three conditions to radicalize is mobilization. Animesh brought that out in some detail. I'll explore that a little bit more. So this mobilization can be organized. It can also be random. It can be carried out by an outfit, or it can be carried out by its unpaid volunteers. There is an argument in India that India has remained immune or is only partially affected by the IS phenomenon. I beg to differ. I submit in my presentation that India has been significantly affected, and a sizable number of Indians have either joined the outfit or have attempted to join the outfit. And the number of people who will attempt to join the outfit in the coming months or years will grow steadily. I'll explain that position a little later. Now, the point I'm trying to make is the radicalization that's at the moment happening in favor of the Islamic State is essentially building on the achievements of outfits like the Student Islamic Movement of India and the Indian Mujahideen. In a way, the radicalization carried out by the Indian Mujahideen marked the beginning of a change that we're witnessing today. Therefore, it is perhaps useful to spend some time on the Indian Mujahideen's radicalization dynamics before we sort of return to the Islamic State. Now, the Indian Mujahideen recruitment drive essentially involved the old SIMI network. Since the SIMI was the proverbial out of which the IM emerged, number of IM cadres had a SIMI passed. The rest were recruited by senior leaders of the outfit who traveled countrywide, setting up or liaising between the cells that they set up in their country. It was a highly personalized recruitment campaign targeting small Muslim majority towns and villages. So you had these cells coming up in places like Bhatkal, in Azamgarh, in Ranchi, and also in nondescript places like a village called Sitio in Jharkhand. So you have senior IM leaders like Bhatkal brothers, Yazin Bhatkal, Amir Raza Khan, Mirza Sadab Beg, Mohsin Chaudhary, who remained at the center of this very closely guarded micro-recruitment drives that targeted computer literate people, educated people, and also petty criminals and less educated. Now the computer literate people, educated people were given the responsibility of planning the attacks, whereas the less educated were the dispensable lot, who were given the task of planting explosives, for that example. Now the material of the literature used by the IAM essentially invariably included video clips of the Gujarat riots, demolition of the Babri Masjid, pathetic state of the Muslims in India, also the ill impact of Western culture on Indian Muslims. In fact, these have been standardized literature that have been used by various outfits, not just IAM. For example, Azam Seema, the LET commander, the Lashkar-e-Toiba commander, who carried out the 7/11 attack in 2006 in the Mumbai trains. He set up a group of highly radicalized youths and told them and showed them the videos of Babri Masjid demolition and also the atrocities on the minority community in India. Prior to the Indian Mujahideen, there was an organization called the Indian Muslim Mohammadi Mujahideen, which in 2000 talked about eradicating the Western culture from India. SEMI president Sahid Falahi in 1992 talked about Muslims organizing themselves and standing up to defend their community. Mujahideen Islam-e-Hind, another semi-offshoot, who talked about similar objective of organizing and defending the Muslim and protecting the Muslim community. The IAM had 3 manifestos. Praveen has extensively reported on them: 2007, 2008, and 2010. Now the literature, the kind of content of those manifestos reveal the kind of aim and the ideas that they wanted to propagate. For example, 2007 manifesto, which talked about the wounds inflicted by the idol worshippers on the Muslims. They talked about the demolition of the Babri Masjid. They talked about the miserable condition of the Muslims in India. And he also said, if you want to be a successful person in India, you have to kill Muslims or you have to be an idol worshipper. 2008 manifesto, for example, titled The Rise of Jihad, blamed the courts for failing the Muslims in India and referred extensively to the 2002 riots. 2010 manifesto, for example, called Let's Feel the Pain Together, talked about, I told very in specific terms to the Hindus that none of your temples will be safe as long as you don't return the Muslims the occupied mosques. So Indian Mujahideen was basically taking the agenda further of an intellectual base of radicalization which is already present in the country. It was claiming to be the guardian of the wrong Muslims in India, and also to the later part of his existence, it talked about avenging the ill treatment meted out to the Muslims worldwide. So when we are talking about the Islamic State getting benefits from the radicalization efforts that are going on in the country, it is actually benefiting from the intellectual base that is already present in this country. Now let's discuss if there are patterns, or these patterns of mobilization, or these patterns of radicalization, is a continuation or represent a shift in the context of the IIS. And here I'll try to come back to the point that I'm trying to make, that India has been significantly affected by the IIS phenomenon and will continue to do so. The official estimate, Animes talked about the numbers. Let me reiterate. Now this is the official estimate. 23 Indian youths have joined the Islamic State so far. 6 have died. 1 has returned, and the rest are possibly with the outfit. 30 people have been stopped from traveling to Iraq and Syria. And in addition, there are nearly 150 youths, predominantly from the South Indian states, who are under surveillance for their alleged leanings toward the IS. Now, this estimate is highly conservative for obvious reasons, because there was a time in 2014, early 2014, when the sort of IS was sort of beginning to take shape. There is a complete sort of dismissal of the IS phenomenon and its possible impact in India. But now the numbers have been acknowledged, and the numbers they are increasing every month. So my estimate of the number of Indians who have actually joined the outfit and who have attempted to join the outfit on the basis of my interactions with the intelligences is far higher. But notwithstanding on the sort of the debate of the actual numbers, the key question that I'm trying to answer is whether it's possible to draw a pattern from the incidents in which Indians have either joined the outfit, attempted to join the outfit, or have worked on behalf of the outfit by staying in India. And this exercise excludes the Indians who have people of Indian origin or people who have traveled from foreign locations to Iraq and Syria. I'll outline 6 patterns that emerge from the journeys. And when I say journeys, it points at both physical as well as ideological relocations. And these patterns will help us understanding whether and in what form the IAS may be able to reinforce itself in India in the coming months, or also identify potential areas for government intervention. Firstly, the journeys of Indians to the IS camp or the fold can be linked to major IS declarations. For example, June 2014 IS declaration of the the Caliphate. And we talked about the 4 youths from Kalyan, Maharashtra. That happened 2 months after the declaration. Similar is the case of 2 college students from Kerala, who went missing from their homes in July 2014 and landed in Syria to join the Islamic State. The declaration of June 2014 also marked the beginning of the waving of the Islamic flags in Kashmir, and subsequent months saw a further rise in mobilization efforts that resulted in further recruitment. This is one. The second major declaration came in January 2015, the declaration of the Waliyat Khorasan. Now, once that happened, coinciding with that declaration, at least 2 groups of men and women attempted to join the outfit. 6th May 2015, 14 engineering students from Hyderabad attempting to travel to Iraq and Syria were stopped at the Hyderabad airport. And 9 Indians in January 2015 who traveled to Istanbul on tourist visas, including children, and attempted to cross over to Syria, they were deported back to India. So Indians have responded to these kind of declarations made by the IS. Now we have the third major declaration. Praveen has reported about it. It happened, released 8 days back, in the form of a manifesto by the Islamic State called the Black Flags from the Islamic State. The Black Flags from the Islamic State. Unlike the previous manifestos or the declarations, this particular one extensively refers to India. It talks about taking his fight to India. It talks about the political situation in India. It talks about the beef eating controversy in India. It also tells the Indian Muslims to come out of their comfort zones, not to submit to the oppressors, and also to emigrate and to fight to defend their life and religion. So if you have evidence that the earlier 2 declarations induce some kind of journey of Indians to the IS fold, the probability of this declaration not having an impact will be certainly a wrong assumption to make. Okay, the second trend that I'm trying to identify is from all over the world, the Islamic State has managed to recruit psychopaths and adventure seekers drawn from the disaffected population. Now in India, mostly the young and the educated men from well-to-do families appear to have fallen into the trap. Significantly, a large number of people who have joined the Islamic State have Western education. Muhammad Abdul Ahad finished his master's in computer science from Kennedy Western University, California. 32-year-old Salman Mohiuddin from Hyderabad had an MS degree from the Texas Southern University in Transportation Planning and Management. 19-year-old Jabin from Kerala pursued school education in the UAE. The lone Kashmiri to have joined the outfit, 26-year-old Adil Fayaz, had an MBA degree from Queensland University in Australia. The 4 youths from Kalyan, there is another guy called Atif or Hanif Wasim from Hyderabad, who has been killed incidentally, fighting on behalf of the IS, and many others were engineering students or college students. Tulfizur Rahman, another youth from Machilipatnam in Andhra Pradesh, was also an engineer. So the attraction of the Islamic State among the educated and the computer literate has been profound. The third trend is that there is a definite linkage between the existing homegrown Islamist terrorist outfits and the Islamic State. I refer specifically to the Indian Mujahideen. Among the 6 Indians killed so far fighting on behalf of the IS, 2 are from the Indian Mujahideen, Abdul Qadir Sultan Armar and Bada Sajid. Armar's brother Safi Armar is currently the Emir of the Ansarul Tawheed in Pakistan, which is the recruitment agency for the IS. The IM has lost ground within India, but is Pakistan-based leadership which is fractured. One faction has pledged its alliance to the IS and is doing things for the IS. The fact that radical past forms a useful background to join the Islamic State are also clear from the busting of the lone Islamic State module in the country till date in Ratlam in Madhya Pradesh. It was led by a guy called Imran Khan Mohammad Yusuf, who was arrested in April 2015. He was a dropout from an undergraduate business course, but he was also a member of an Islamic proselytizing and a charity group. So you have the nexus with the IM, and there is a possibility that the IM will be willing to play the role of a vehicle for hire if the IS chooses it to be so. 5 minutes? Okay, I'll be quick now. Okay, the fourth trend is web-based radicalization or online radicalization has played an important part. Islamic State social media pages, Islamist forums have been the usual meeting points between recruiters and these youths. So the impact has been profound on people majorly who have already a state of mind which is sort of pro radicalization. They are willing to radicalize themselves. For example, Ari Mazid, one of the 4 guys from Kalyan, he was a follower of the Ahl Hadith sect, and he also rebelled against the use of Bollywood songs during religious congregations. He was impressed actually by another youth who once pulled out a microphone or a loudspeaker which was playing Bollywood music during a religious procession. Before he left for Iraq, Majid even left a note censuring his family for sinning, for living luxurious lives, watching television, not praying, all that. So online radicalization in a way facilitates a sort of democratization in terror entrepreneurship, which makes everybody who's willing to kill or get killed to be a part of the narrative. Now, I have slightly strong objection about the use of the word tech savvy, because there is nothing really tech savvy about operating a Twitter or a Facebook account. So internet exposure to how to know use internet is fine enough for being online radicalized. Okay. Now if we emphasize so much on online radicalization, that brings me to this 5th point. It has to be backed up by a large group of facilitators or recruiters. Animesh talked about Shami Witness. She also talked about Afsar Zabeen. There are currently about 55 such facilitators and recruiters according to official estimate. So it is possible that most of these recruiters are also part of the long established recruitment network associated with the Islamist outfits. And this is the last point. I'll stop after this. For long, attempts have been made to examine whether there are linkages between radicalization and communal mobilization in this country. One can always argue that so far, none of the people who have joined the IS have come from Gujarat. But majority of the recruitment and mobilization have indeed taken place from regions with a long history of Hindu-Muslim divide, radicalization, and which are traditional recruitment grounds for organizations like the SIMI and the IM. A large number of these places are located within states which also have witnessed Islamist terrorist incidents. So there is a definite linkage between existing religious divide, growth of extremism, and an established and existing radicalization and mobilization network that's there in the country. I'll stop here. I'll be happy to respond to questions during discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you,